Alright then gang, so in this video I want to focus on font styles, and to begin with I'd like to be able to use my own custom font. So I've headed over to Google Fonts to find a font, and in fact I already found one which I want to use. It's called Rubik, so if I search for that we'll see it right here. So this is the font I want to use, and if you want to download it from Google Fonts you can click on this plus icon in the top right and then open up this panel and you can download it by clicking here. Now, I've also uploaded this font to my GitHub repo, so you could go to the Lesson 5 branch to download it as well. Go inside the Assets folder, then inside Fonts, and all you want is this file right here, Rubik Regular. Okay, so now we're going to use that custom font inside our project. Okay, so once you've downloaded that font, open up your Assets folder and create a Fonts folder. I've already done that, and then just drag that font file into the Fonts folder. And now we want to be able to use this font in our CSS. So the way we do that is by using an @FontFace rule. So underneath this comment right here, I'm going to do that by saying @font-face. This is how we use a custom font, because we can normally only use web-safe fonts, but if we use our own font, we can register that by saying @FontFace and then open up your curly braces. Inside, we want to say font-family, and this is what we're going to call the font family. Now, you can call it ABC if you want, but that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to call it what the font is actually called, Rubik Regular, like so. And then in the future, whenever we actually use this font, say for example in the body tag, I could just say font family is going to be whatever we called it, Rubik Regular. So I could copy that and I could paste it up here. Okay, so that is the font family property right here. Now we also need to say where to get this font from, and we do that by using a source property, and this source is going to be a URL. So we say URL, then open up parentheses, and we give it a path to this font file relative to this styles file. So we need to say go into the assets folder, then into the fonts folder, then we want Rubik-regular.ttf. That was the name of the file over here. So in assets, fonts, and then Rubik-regular.ttf. So now we've set up that font family. If I save this, we should see that this is the font, the default font, because we set that property right up here as well. We said in the body, we want to use that font family. So if I save it, check it out over here, now we have that new font. So that's the first step. Next, I'd like to style up some of these headings right here. We have an H1, H2, we have an H3 down here, we have H4s right here as well. So what I'd like to do is come down here and say, underneath font face, H1, H2, H3, and H4. Now, what I'm going to do is give these a color first of all. So color, and this is going to be DDDBFF. Now, I'm not using a variable for this because this is only going to appear once in this entire file, so I don't really need to use a variable for that. Next, I want to say the font-weight is going to be normal, like so. Okay, so if we check that out, we can see, all right, that's looking a bit better. Now, next, I also want to give this a line height, but in fact, I'll come back to the line height in a minute. Next, I want to move on to the paragraph tags, also the anchor tags and the li tags. And this time, the color is going to be #9893D and then 8. So that's like a purpley color. If we save this, we should see now that the paragraph tags down here, like this, they are kind of like a light purple color, and this one up here, and also the anchor tags, so these things over here as well. Okay, so next I want to work on the font sizes. So first of all, let me say H1 and H3. To begin with, these are both going to be the same size. Remember, the H1 is up here, Cosmo Junkie. This is an H2, and H3s are these ones. So the section headers, so the projects, and then things I can do, and then get in touch. So these two are going to be the same size. So what I could do is use a pixel value if I wanted to, but instead what I'm going to do is use a different value called ems. So let me just write this, then I'm going to explain exactly what it means. So I'm going to give this a font-size of 1.2 M's, so EM. So what is the M? Well, the M is a scalable unit, unlike the pixel, which is a fixed size unit. So, for example, the default browser style is to have a font size of 16 pixels, right? Now, if I say that I want my H1 to be 1M instead of 1.2 M's, that means it takes that default 16 pixel value and it multiplies it by 1, meaning it is going to be 16 pixels. Now, if I say I want it to be 2 M's, it's going to take that default browser style and times it by 2. So 16 times 2, which is 32 pixels, right? Now you can override the default browser font size by declaring a different font size in your body selector. So say for example, let me just set this to 1M and go up to the body over here. And if I say font-size is going to be 20 pixels, then what it's going to do is look at this default font size for the body down here, and it's going to times that by 1 because we've said 1M for the H1 and the H3. So then this is going to become 20 pixels and the H3 will become 20 pixels. If I save it, then we can see it's a bit smaller, right? Now, if I made this 2M's, then it would become 40 pixels because the default in the body tag is 20 pixels. We times that by 2 because we're using 2M's, and now we have a 40 pixel size for the font. So when it comes to responsive design, it's often a lot easier to work with a base default font size in the body selector and then use M's for the different elements, because then in a lot of cases you just need to define your font sizes once using M's for these kind of things right here. We don't have to redefine them for every single media query, and all we do is update the default font size in a body selector for each media query instead, right? Does that make sense? So say for example, I'm going to say 1.2 for the H1 and the H3. Now I'm going to delete this thing over here where we say the font size is 20 pixels. But what I'm going to do now is for each media query, or a couple of them, I'm going to update the default body font size so that when we get larger screens, the default font size is going to increase, and therefore, since we've said the font size of the H1 and the H3 is going to be 1.2 M's, that is going to increase as well because it's going to times this 1.2 by whatever font size we declare in the body tag. I hope that makes sense. So for example, down here when we get to 960 pixels in width, I'm going to do a selector body, and that is going to say font-size inside, and we'll set this to 18 pixels so it goes up a bit. And then I'm going to copy this, and for the desktop styles as well, we'll do the same thing, but this time I'm going to set the default size to be 20 pixels. So to begin with, on mobiles, it's going to be 1.2 times 16 pixels because that's the default value, right? Then when we get to larger screens, so at 960 pixels in width, it's going to be 1.2 times 18 pixels, so a bit larger. Then when we get to desktop styles at 1200 pixels, it's going to be 1.2 times 20 pixels, so a bit larger again. So I hope you can see the benefit of this because now we're just defining the font size of the headers once, and we don't have to redefine them for every media query for each element that changes font size. We just redefine the body font size, and then whatever uses M's is going to update as well because it's using that default body font size to multiply it by. Okay? So let me just test this out. I'm going to save it, and we can see to begin with, we get 1.2 times 16 pixels. So quite a smallish font for the H1 and also for the H3. Now, when I get to 960 pixels, you can see it got a little bit bigger then, okay? And then when I get to 1200 pixels, it gets bigger again. All right, so all the way back down, let me just go back to 960 pixels. And in fact, I'm going to go to inspect so I can see the pixel value. I'm going to move this until I get to 1200 pixels. And then you see it jump. Look at the heading size in the top left. It's jumping down when I get to that media query. And then 960 pixels, it's going to jump again. There we go. All right. So that's why I'm going to be using M's instead of pixels, because it's just a lot easier to update for different sizes of device. So that's the H1 and the H3. Let's now move on to some different things. The H2, which is this thing over here. I'm going to say the H2 will be a font size of 1.6 M's. So the base font size times 1.6. And I'm going to save that. Should make it a little bit bigger. Cool. Now the H4 because we've already done the H3, remember. That is going to have a font hyphen size of 1.1 ems, so quite a lot smaller. And the H4 are these things down here. See where it says Space Race Game and Planet Boy API and Captain Cosmo Blog. They are the H4s. And then after that, I'm also going to get the leading class. And remember, the leading class is the paragraphs at the top, which is, if I can find it, this thing right here. So that is this. And also we have a leading paragraph in the contact form down here as well. I think that's the leading one. Let me just have a little look in the contact section. Yep, it has a class of leading. All right, cool. So let me save that over here in styles.css. No, in fact, we need to give this a value. So that's going to be font hyphen size of 1.1 ems as well, just to make it a tiny bit bigger. Okay, so that's our font sizes for the different elements on the page. And like I say, as things get bigger, those font sizes are going to automatically get bigger as well. Okay? All right then, cool. So now we've got the font sizes and the font family sorted. In the next video, I want to move on and I want to focus on the layout of the website for mobile devices.